share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share. Recipe Share, Recipe Share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Recipe Share, a program on AADL TV where we take a few minutes to talk about recipes in a featured category. Today's category is Eat with Your Hands. I'm Katie, and as usual, I'm joined by Beth and Elizabeth, and today we have a special guest, our friend Christopher. They will all tell us about their recipes, but Beth, why don't you get us started and tell us what you made?
Okay, well, to be honest, I didn't make it this time, but this is something that's been kind of pretty much in our rotation, at least every other month, and it's mushu chicken, mushu pork. We happen to use pork, but you can even probably just you could use tofu even if you want, I betcha. Although it does also include eggs. So the deal with this is, and it's from Give Me Some Oven, the website. So there's a marinade that includes hoisin sauce, rice vinegar, a couple tablespoons of oyster sauce, and a couple tablespoons of soy sauce, and then some toasted sesame oil, 6 cloves of garlic, and pepper. So you make that marinade, but you split it in half because then you use it as a marinade and then you use it as a cooking sauce. And then you slice your pork chop or chicken breast into very thin strips, and it also includes a couple of eggs where you end up making an omelet. So that's one of the things. You know what mushu is, right? You wrap it up. Okay, you get it it's Chinese, and typically if you order in a restaurant, it'll come with this pile of meat and vegetables, and then tortilla type things that you scoop it in and make a wrap with it. Okay, so pardon me for not explaining that, but so then it also, where was I? So you'd make a little omelet, but also this recipe called for coleslaw. We had a lot of cabbage earlier this summer, so we reused that. Shiitake mushrooms, scallions, and then you can use extra hoisin sauce, green onions, blah 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 on top. So you marinate the meat, and then for just a few minutes, and then you cook it in oil. And while that actually, since I didn't make it, I don't have the flow. While the meat's marinating, this is where you take your eggs and make just like a straight up omelet, and then end up cutting that into pieces. It's just egg. Transfer that to a separate cutting board, and then while the pork is cooking, chop the omelet into small pieces. Anyway, then you're like cooking the veggies, your cabbage and mushrooms and meat, and basically you just cook that up, and then you serve it in a tortilla or a lettuce wrap, or lettuce cup, and you can or serve it over rice if you want, but then you wouldn't be eating it with your hands. That wouldn't look so good. But yeah, just put it in a wrap, and it's very tasty. It takes like 20 minutes. It's a real easy weeknight supper. And while I may not have explained it super well, it's basically a little tortilla with your marinated meat. And you could, add other veggies too. So I have no pictures this time, but if you look up Give Me Some Oven, mushu, that's MOOSHU, you'll find it.
Well, I'm definitely going to look it up because that's interesting to me. I've never had mushu pork or any other otherwise. So that's like brand new to me. I'm excited to learn more about it and to try it. So it sounds delicious and convenient.
Yeah, it's super simple, easy, and tasty. And what more do you want?
Yeah, I haven't had mushu either, actually. I was glad I was like struggling to visualize. So I was glad when you did explain it.
Yeah.
the kind of sliced up omelet sounds really interesting to me. And it sounds yummy. I mean, that marinade slash sauce, it sounds delicious. What's not to like about all that? So it's cool. I'm really excited to see the recipe and and check it out.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I've never made mushu, Beth, but there's a place in town near the library that has the best mushu, and
Oh,
that's
yeah?
what I always get when I go there. Yeah, but
Who's
now I
that?
can try
Hey,
it.
Tell us the
Oh,
place. Fine.
TK Wu has fantastic mushu.
Oh, interesting. I've never eaten there.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Well, Christopher, since you're already chatting with us, why don't you tell us what you made with your hands?
Well, thanks a lot for having me on. So my problem cooking and eating is that after I finish eating, it's as if I'll never be hungry again in my life. And I don't know why that is. So I'm a terrible planner. So this topic is so perfect for me. What I made were spring rolls. And I got this recipe from Natasha Kravchuk from the website Natasha's Kitchen. And this is a great recipe. Most of my recipes halfway through say something like, yesterday you were supposed to have started marinating something. And of course, then it's too late to build a time machine and go back and make the recipe the way it was supposed to be made. This recipe is not like that. So it really has a few different parts to it. What I do is I bake tofu instead of using shrimp, but traditionally you do use shrimp. So the baked tofu is one part of it, and it's just sliced tofu with a little bit of oil and then some miso and maybe any other kind of Asian flavoring that you might have. You could add some garlic, some lime, some mirin, things like that. And it's really just a scraping of this sauce that's thick across the top. I always had too much, and my wife reminded me this time, you don't need so much, and it's true. So just a scraping of that. You bake it for 20 minutes at 350, and you've got your tofu. For the vegetables, they're all raw, which is fantastic. So you've got just grated carrots, you've got some fresh lettuce, you have vermicelli, like rice noodles, actually not made out of wheat, and cilantro, and some cucumber. So you've got your vegetables, you've got your tofu, you need to have your rice paper wrap. I was so nervous the first time I started working with this. I thought this is some miracle that this is how these spring rolls are made. You take a piece of rice paper, it's cheap, it comes in a package, you wet it with some quite warm water, and it takes about 10 seconds, and it absorbs the water, becomes super stretchy. The good thing is it's not like a burrito. Whenever I make a burrito, I overstuff it. It's absolutely impossible to wrap the burrito properly. The rice paper is stretchy, which means you can overstuff it, and then you stretch the ends, you roll it up, and it all sticks to itself beautifully. That's it. And I've got some pictures here to show you the process and to show you the table with everything laid out. I love it. Oh, I didn't even mention the most important part. I'll be brief. The sauce, just like the sauce that Beth made. This is similar. It's got some fish sauce, sugar, lime juice, rice wine vinegar, garlic sauce, garlic, and a little bit of carrot in the sauce with some sesame oil. The sauce, of course, is what makes it, because you've got a bunch of raw vegetables that taste great, but you marry that to the sauce and you've got a treat on your hands, something that I can even eat at my table at work. So that's it.
Sounds great. I love spring rolls. I think those rice paper wraps, they really do seem like a miracle because they're hard, they're brittle when
Yes.
you're like, this is not, it's like every time I work with them, I just don't believe it's gonna happen, and it all comes together. My question for you is, I always struggle with the rice vermicelli getting like clumpy together. Do you rinse it in cold water? What's your secret for preparing that?
I do. I'm kind of a minimalist, but I'm also a rule follower. So the recipe I got for this says boil water, put the vermicelli in, turn the water off, let it sit for 5 minutes, strain it, run it under cold water.
Okay.
And that has worked fantastically for me.
Okay, cool. Good. Yes. I always struggle with that. So
Unfortunately, this recipe is not vegan or really even vegetarian with the fish sauce, but I'm sure if you found a good substitute for that, you'd have a vegan recipe on your hands.
Yeah. So I have not used, I don't believe I've ever tried that, or if I did, it was maybe helping somebody else. But the wraps, because they do seem intimidating, but maybe they're just not as intimidating as it seems.
They're fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I have found them to be fun to work with too, and it's easier than it looks. They are definitely something that looks intimidating, but it is pretty simple. And I just wanted to say, Christopher, thank you for your description of your recipe. Sounds so wonderful, and I'm super excited to try it with the tofu because that sounded really good to me too. That's an exciting recipe. Thank you.
You bet.
Yeah, delicious.
Elizabeth?
yeah, okay. So I have to pull up my recipe. Okay, so this is from, I've been doing this a lot and I always feel bad, but I think it's been like 4 weeks since I've used the New York Times Cooking. So I feel okay about doing it this time. This is from New York Times Cooking. And I was kind of like looking for a recipe for this category. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that I make, sandwiches, all that, but I kind of just wanted to try something new. So I was literally like Googling like recipes to eat with your hands. And this came up and it sounded good. So this is really simple, actually. It's the title of the recipe is scallion egg wrap. And basically it's like, according to the recipe, which this made sense, it's a common kind of Chinese American adaptation of a breakfast dish that is commonly served in China. So basically, what you do is you take 2 eggs and you beat them with some salt and pepper in a bowl until blended. And then you take a skillet and you just heat a flour tortilla in it for just a minute until it's quite warm and pliable. And then you put it on a plate. And then you put a little oil in the skillet, and then you have a thinly sliced scallion. So you just put that in until it's like bright green and fragrant, which is like 30 seconds. And then you add in the eggs and you stir it vigorously with a spatula to kind of slightly scramble them, and then just let them sit. And you scatter on some fresh cilantro. And I was really sad I didn't have this. This seems like something Christopher would have, but it called for Chinese pickled mustard greens. I did not have that. I wished I did. I'm sure you can find them at a specialty store, but I skipped that. But that sounded like it would have been delicious on there. And you basically just kind of like let it like set with the cilantro on top, and then you press the tortilla on and you let it cook until the egg is fully set and is kind of like sticking to the tortilla. And then this is kind of cool. You flip the whole thing onto a plate and the egg is facing up, the tortilla's on the bottom, and you're supposed to drizzle on a little bit of chili paste if you'd like. It also said you could use hoisin sauce, or, basically just added flavor of whatever you would like. And then a little bit of sesame seeds, and then you fold it into quarters, and then you just kind of eat it. So it was really good. What I would like to do is actually get some chili crunch and drizzle that on. But it's super delicious, and indeed it was like fun. Like you can like walk out the door with it in your hand. And it's actually not like greasy or anything, like, because the tortilla really is dry on the bottom, so you can just, it wasn't messy, and it's really good. And it is it was flavorful, the scallions and the cilantro. So it was kind of a fun thing to try out, and it really worked. I love when a recipe like just works out. So it was good. Yeah. So that was what I made.
Well, that's fun. That's really cool. I love putting the tortilla on top of the eggs and that it flips and that it all worked for you. It sounds super tasty. I'll definitely give that a try.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So anyway, it was good. So, and you know, I was thinking you could certainly do it with a gluten-free tortilla or whatever. It was pretty, you know, flexible in that regard. So okay, Katie, what did you make with your hands?
Okay, so the recipe that I am sharing comes from this book that I found at the library. This is The Taste of Home, The Cool Kitchen Cookbook, 385 oven-free dishes ideal for when temperatures soar. So that's kind of a fun concept in this book. And the it's a cute little recipe that I chose. It's for watermelon tapas. And you can see the picture in the book right here. So it's just like little watermelon fruit pizza, basically. And you know, this is very obviously a flexible recipe. You can use whatever fruit that you have on hand, but you basically just take your slices of watermelon that are about an inch thick, and you make your sauce for that. It's Greek yogurt, fresh mint, and honey just mixed together, and you spread that on top of your watermelon slices. And the fruits that they used in the recipe were kiwi, tangerine, mangoes, raspberries, blueberries, and pomegranate seeds. So I am looking at this picture, and I'll show you guys the picture of the ones that I made. But I used mango, raspberries, strawberries, specifically these grapes that I love. They're called gumdrop grapes is what they're called. So they're very small and sweet. And so slice those in half. I intended to use blueberries, but they were crazy expensive at the store, so didn't get those. The other thing that I definitely used pomegranate seeds because it's a little bit of an unusual ingredient, but you know, you can buy them in like a little container, but that's a racket. If you can get a regular just pomegranate, it's much cheaper and they're very easy to seed. So, you know, just a little aside there. Got a pomegranate. And then you put all your fruit, and then you sprinkle over some chopped up pistachio nuts. So that was really delicious with that. And then finally, when you're ready to serve, just drizzle some honey over top the whole thing if you want, which we did. It was really good with the honey on it. I think I meant to put some citrus on here, and I ran out of room on the watermelons, but you could do whatever you want. But I would just say the pomegranate seeds and the pistachios, I would keep those every time I did this because they just added like really nice texture and flavor to this. It's really pretty. So I could definitely see just setting this out for a summer party, but it's also really easy. So just doing it on a weeknight when you're sick of just regular old fruit salad is definitely another option too. So I like this one.
That's such a fun idea. I can't believe that has never occurred to me to put things on like slices of watermelon. I'm like, how have I never thought of that? But that's so cute, and like, what a fun way to serve fruit. And that's just a little different than, you know, the way one would usually do it.
Yeah.
I don't like watermelon because it's so sweet, but this sounds fantastic.
Yeah, you can get the little watermelons too. So
Yeah.
you know, you do that, you don't have to get a whole watermelon.
I'm just picturing our little, maybe when they're a little bit older, the grandkiddos creating their own snack like that. And yeah, that's adorable.
I think this would be super fun with kids.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Well, let's thank everybody for watching Recipe Share. Be sure to click the link below to look at the event page on aadl.org to find the recipes that we talked about, and you can share your own in the comments. Join us next time when our category will be Make Ahead Magic. We're looking forward to seeing what you've been making, so thanks for sharing.
Recipe share, recipe share, share a little recipe with Recipe Share.